Spooky Tuesday.
What if I told you that today you'll leave here different?
Hey guys, welcome back to Spooky Tuesday, a weekly podcast where we're breaking down all of our favorite slashers, thrillers, monster movies, and black comedies on the new scariest day of the week. I'm Sydney Thompson.
I'm Monica Height.
And I'm Chelsea Duff. And this week we are very excited to be doing a pretty new release. It just came out a couple of weeks ago. We gave you guys some time to see it in the theaters. We saw it in the theaters. But basically, as soon as we did on opening weekend, we were like, okay, well, we have to talk about this. Let's clear our schedules. We did a little rearranging. Yeah. We immediately went back to the drawing board and we're like, what can we bump? And so sorry to the movie that didn't make the cut. Maybe one day we'll get there. But that doesn't matter what that movie is, because right
I
now,
tell him.
yeah, tell
Jeepers
him.
Creepers.
Bye, Jeepers Creepers.
Bye.
We even had to like re-record our outro on FD3. What was it on?
We're doing the most.
We were doing a
Jeepers
lot.
Creepers stands. Let us know if you want us to come back to it real
Did we
soon.
make
but
a mistake? I
This
mean,
movie,
yeah,
we had to talk about
this movie was
Come
worthy of bumping Jeepers Creepers, which none of us have even seen yet. But it is Nope, the 2022 film from Jordan Peele. It's his third big movie that's like all him. And it was immediately successful, obviously, opening weekend because he loves a spectacle. Which is a little Easter egg for this film discussion. But I'll tell you what the movie is about, just in case you are somebody who needs the whole film spoiled for you before you go see it, which is a choice that you're allowed to make for yourself. But I don't recommend for this film. But in honor of your choice, here is the IMDb log line. It is: the residents of a lonely gulch in inland California bear witness to an uncanny and chilling discovery, which really doesn't cover very much of anything.
No, that's good. That's good. I
Yeah.
love that. That was
Appropriately
perfect.
mysterious.
Because like we talked about this leading up to watching this movie just amongst ourselves, but I know you guys were both trying to avoid watching the trailers, right? Leading up to it.
I think I watched it at some point, but I don't think like I watched it right before.
I only watched the trailers that were like in another theater that I saw. So like the really short things. And I was just like, horses. As a horse girl, I was like, I'm here for it. And then I was like, oh no, horses.
As a horse girl, now I'm sad. Yeah.
Yeah, very tragic for horse girls all around. Yeah, I mean, I was worried that I had watched the trailer because people told me that it was giving away way too much. But I think I had a really good time having watched the trailer because I got to participate in the previewing Nope discourse on Twitter. And part of what I saw on there made me feel so fucking giddy when I actually saw the fucking movie because, okay, in the trailer, we're going in. It's happening. We're starting to talk. We're starting to talk. If you haven't seen it, turn off the podcast. This is your time. This is your time because this one is like really, really fun to go into and not know what the fuck's going on. Seriously.
And in the theater, like I do recommend absolutely seeing it in the theater, like on IMAX screening if you can. It was filmed on IMAX cameras.
To see this in IMAX.
Oh, it was filmed on IMAX cameras. It's like made for you to have your brain blow up. It's literally made for you.
And if you can sit in the very front row, it actually adds a little to the experience.
Chelsea and I saw it twice, and both times, two separate weekends. The first time we saw it in the front row because we bought tickets late. The second time, I really thought that I got my shit together. No, we were still in the fucking front row. And honestly, it's the way to go. It's the way to go.
Sydney, you sat further back though, right?
Oh, we were in like second to last row, but again, I like to go see movies on Sunday nights. Sure. And there was like 6 other people in this movie theater. So me and my cousin have a great time. We were like screaming and talking, and everybody was like laughing at certain points. Like we were having a hoot.
It was there's some fucking funny parts too. That's the thing about Jordan Peele. He's really funny. Do you guys know about that? How he's
Have you guys heard?
super fucking
Yeah.
funny. Yeah, there's also that. But
Man,
anyway,
he's
okay.
funny. This is my first Jordan Peele movie that I've ever watched.
Did you ever watch any Key and Peele?
Yeah, I watched Key and Peele, but this
Okay.
is my first like movie that he directed. I haven't
Yeah,
seen
yeah.
Get Out or Us.
Well, what'd you think?
I liked it.
This is great to hear. I was worried. Not that I didn't
Like-
think you wouldn't like it, but like, you know.
I liked it more than I thought I was gonna like it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not like a super big alien movie fan, and we'll talk about why near the end. But I thought like it was beautifully shot. The pacing was a little like this is a long movie. Like it's over 2 hours
Yeah.
long. And I was like, this could have been a little shorter, you know, just like a smidge.
Here's the
I
thing.
don't know. I liked
Yeah.
the pacing in it. I really liked it. But I get it. I get it. You know how I feel about the hour 30 movie, okay? So I feel you.
I love a good tight 90, but like
Tight
if
90.
this could have been like 145, 148 even, you know, like I would have
Well,
loved.
Sydney, they couldn't have cut one fucking second
That's
of him
exactly.
reading the lyrics to the Purple People Eater song. So they needed that 30 minutes for him to read it as slow as possible. It was crucial to moving along the plot. But okay, what I was saying before about engaging with the previewing content on Twitter
Mhm.
is I got to see a bunch of people be stupid fucking idiots, and then I watched the movie and I was like, hey, you dumb fuck. But also like how could they couldn't have known that they were being so
Sure.
dumb. In my you cannot see right now, but I am wearing some beautiful flying saucer earrings that I have right now. And a lot of the discourse I saw on Twitter, or some of it, was people being like being pissed off after seeing the trailer that Jordan Peele decided to use like the classic like disc spaceship in the movie, because when you watch the trailer you can like see a ship,
You get a glimpse.
you get a glimpse of it, and it looks like the classic silver spaceship. And they're like, he could have done something way cooler. I can't believe he's doing this. Like, it's so tired. It's so done. Blah, 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 blah. Then I watched the movie and I was like, you stupid fucking bitch. It wasn't even a spaceship. And I felt really good.
Part of the I love the weird discourse. What do they call it? They're like, it's not UFOs anymore. It's like
UAPs or something. What does that
UAPs.
stand for? UAP. Unidentified aerial phenomena, which is a
Or-
more all-encompassing term. But what were you saying?
Or
Or
it could be unidentified apex predator.
In this case, yes, it is. Also, if you hear a weird sound throughout the episode and you're like, what is that? It's me hitting the giant Stetson that I'm wearing against my microphone. It has happened 14 times already during this episode, and we're 5 minutes in.
if it makes
I'm
you feel
very
better,
upset.
I'm not hearing it. So maybe your
It
microphone's
hurts
not
my
picking
face,
it up.
so I'll
That
tell you
sounds
that my
bad.
face does hurt.
So if we hear you go, ow, that means you've bonked your Stetson.
You know, Monica, they don't give the rootinest tootinest battles to the rootinest tootinest cowboys, okay? And that's
Wow,
you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank
Rootin'
you.
and
They
tootin'.
don't give them.
I know what she
No,
was
what
trying
did
to say
I say?
something nice. Okay.
They don't. You're doing great.
They
They would
get
never
it.
give you such difficult battles.
Exactly.
So it's not that bad.
That
Okay, I
means
get
you
it.
can bear
I
it.
can
Yeah.
take the note. I can take the note. Oh my
Monica's
god.
picking up what I'm putting down, okay?
I got it. I've understood it. But okay,
I
let's
just
start
know
with
that in the past we've done math wrong, and I have gotten text messages being like, you did math wrong. So sometimes I just feel obligated to be like, we know what we're doing.
Chelsea, maybe people text you when you do math wrong, but like nobody expects me to say anything correctly ever.
I wonder how
Like-
many people are gonna clock that I'm drunk in the Tremors episode.
How
I
many
hope
people
that
will
it's
just
clear.
automatically understand that I'm high filming this after hearing the rootin' tootin' stuff? Very,
They're like,
very
we get
fast.
it. We get it. We get it.
Another thing that I have to recommend is Nope is a great movie to see, like, blitzed in some sort of way. Like, it's good to
Yes.
look at it with a
Agreed.
critical eye as
Mhm.
well, because there's a lot to cover, and we will start covering it soon. I do promise that. But I had
Or we
like
won't. Who knows?
several cocktails while I was watching this movie, and I was like, wow, like really exciting. Really made my eyes open even wider. Uh,
I was
Yeah, I'll
stoney baloney
say
and had a great time. So
it was really a very immersive experience to do so. Like Monica and I said, we were in the very front row. The screen was enormous. We were sitting there, heads tilting back, like we were looking up at the sky.
Mhm.
You said the pacing was a little slow for you, Sydney, but me, with having chilled with a gummy, the pacing made every moment feel like so heavy and imbued with meaning, and like
Yeah.
it. I was delicious to me.
Mm. Okay, yeah, I agree. It was just a beautiful time. But let's start. Let's get into it because I really liked the opening of this movie. I liked that it opened with the Gordy shit, and you have no fucking clue what's going on. Well, actually, though, before it opened with the Gordy shit, it opened with an Oppenheimer trailer that Chelsea and I, both times we saw the movie, thought it was part of the movie, and it was very confusing. So I didn't appreciate that.
I did hear Twitter discourse about the Oppenheimer trailers. So
Yeah,
when
it really
that
seems like
appeared,
it.
but when that appeared on my thing, I was like, oh, this is the Oppenheimer
Oh,
trailer.
yes,
Everybody's
Oppenheimer.
bitching about.
Sure.
I was like, what is this countdown? I'm so confused. And then I was like, why is Killian Murphy here? And he's wearing this big hat. Anyway,
It's just
we
like, did
got
they
through
come
it.
up with some deal with the movie to do it after the part where they say like feature film now playing or
They
whatever?
did. The reason why it's because it's also filmed on IMAX film. That's why. Yeah, it's
Oh,
an
okay,
IMAX thing.
interesting. But yeah, that did confuse for me. If the original opening scene where you like just see Gordy on the set and not much else, I was a little confused if like how it was going to fit into the movie later. And I thought it worked really well. But after the Oppenheimer trailer, and then with the productions being called like Monkey Paw Productions, I was just a little like, is this movie still, or is this still like production
Yeah,
set up?
I just thought it was a really good tease though, because like you have that little bit of the tiny little bit of bloody chimp, and you see. Do you
And then it
see
looks right the
the
fuck
kid?
at you.
Oh yeah, you don't see the kid. It just like
No,
looks
you
right.
just
Yeah.
see
It
him, just
breaks
the
the fourth
monkey.
wall, and
It's so scary because
it's
then the
super
lampshade
scary.
rolls to point right at you as well, and it's like you feel like targeted.
Yeah, but it's such an important, like it's such a crucial moment because I don't think before you get like the part where Stephen Yoon is like talking about Gordy's home, like I think that's all you get. So then you remember that, and he's like talking about how like, oh, it was funny and it wasn't that bad, and it's just like this SNL skit. But you saw the bloody monkey already, so you're like,
Mm-hmm.
holy fucking shit. Like this, like why is he describing it this way? It was really interesting. But
And
I
then like
thought that
having the audio play over the like title card stuff before you get to the visual of just the monkey with like
yeah.
nope, blah 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 blah, with like that old timey like cadence from old sitcoms. You know what I mean?
Oh
Yeah, and
yeah.
it's the exact audio from the whole scene that you get to see
Mm-hmm.
later. So
Yes.
it's another fun one to watch twice because you pick on more little details. Like then next is like the actual opening of this movie, and I just really liked the way that they did this, and I also was so jazzed to see that Keith David played Otis Hayward Sr. because freaking love him. He is
I
such a
love
talented
him.
actor, and he's so handsome.
So handsome.
Love him as a cowboy.
And
Um,
he's also a great throwback in The Thing.
Yes.
I
Very sexy in the thing.
know exactly. Exactly. Oh my
Also an
god.
alien movie, so notable. That's actually
He's
really
like,
good casting then. Didn't think about it in that context. That's really good casting.
yeah, he's like horror legacy. So you just get like a tiny taste of him in this movie, but it's so good. They do a good job of setting the stage. They do a good job of setting the horror to come, which I didn't notice the first time. But in the very, very beginning, you're just seeing Daniel Kaluuya's character OJ doing like some work for the horses, like putting out hay, feeding them, blah 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 blah. And part of this is he's listening to the radio, and like
Yes.
you don't
Yeah.
fucking care when you're watching it for the like you don't really care what
You're
it
like,
says.
the radio's
Uh,
on, blah blah blah. Yeah.
but it's saying like the search continues for missing hikers in the area, blah 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 blah. And so a few seconds later, when the first like shit starts falling from the sky, the electricity goes out, the phones all go dead, and you hear that screaming sound. Hey baby, that's the hikers.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, I have a question about that first scene, but it is a little bit of a jump around question. If you'll follow me for a moment. But obviously, in that opening scene, we see like, oh, the tech's going a little wonky. Like, oh, it seems like something's hitting the ground. Blah blah blah. And we later like get the pieces. It's a key. It's a quarter, or it's a nickel. Actually, I think it's like blah blah blah. And then there's this scene later where it's over the house and it is like raining things down on them and the blood as well. So like in the beginning, obviously the scene over the house, it's like again, spoilers, but you should know by now. It's like we know by then it's an animal and it's like shitting or vomiting or something. But it's like purposely excreting. Do we think it's purposely excreting in the beginning, or do we think those are just like loose items that are falling away?
So what happens is the spaceship comes over OJ and his dad, Otis Sr.
Uh-huh.
And you hear the screaming, and all of a sudden you don't hear the screaming anymore. So I think that what happens when it eats is that it like I don't know exactly, like it like does the eat thing where you're no longer alive anymore and like probably like digest the like soft matter, and then it expels all of the stuff that it can't eat.
Like all the inorganic material
Yeah,
that it can't digest.
all
It
the
just
stuff it
goes
can't
bleh.
digest. It's like expelling it.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
so I
what do we
don't
think is the difference though between that moment and the when it's over the house later during the rainstorm?
I
that is
think
it's
Angry?
pissed. Yeah. They
well,
pissed it off because they fucked with it with the horse.
yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
think the horse got stuck in it, and that's like so it was like
Oh, so you think
causing
maybe it the blood is from it, not from the people it's eating?
that was my
Like
thought.
it got
Like,
injured?
Well, I also think it's spiteful. I think whatever it is, it's trying
Yeah.
at that point it knows that it knows that Emerald and OJ and Angel like know about it and are fucking with
Yeah.
it, and it's like fuck you, this is my house. And it's like a power move.
that
Which
was a
is
real big skip around, Chelsea.
It was, but I wanted to know.
but anyway, we'll come back to that more later. But
Okay.
I just loved the pacing of this like opening scene because like the way they play with sound is so brilliant. Like there's that like white noise of the like I don't know what it's called, the horse carousel, the horse walker. What's it called? Sydney, do you know?
He called it something because then he was like, "You said
This
you were gonna fix this."
The spinny horse machine. And it doesn't matter. Whatever
oh,
the thing
it's a
that walks the
walker.
horses around. Yeah. And the sound just like goes off in that. And then like you don't see what is happening to Otis Sr. Like you see him looking up, and then the camera pans away because it's following OJ's like perspective, and then all of a sudden like you hear the horse whinny, and it cuts back, and his and OJ or Otis Senior's head is down and he's slumped over, and the horse starts moving. The horse starts moving because he gets a key in his butt, which is such a
A
sad
little slap on the
detail.
behind.
Yeah, it impales him.
He seems okay
But yeah, for that period of
for
time,
now.
not for poor ghost.
R.I.P. Ghost.
But I didn't get it at first, but I think what happens, and I talked to Chelsea about this yesterday, but Sydney, I don't know what you think. I think that what they show is I think the nickel goes through his eye into his whole head.
Yes,
Yes.
it's like
Yeah.
lodged in his brain
In his
and
head.
it kills
Yeah.
him.
I was thinking about that earlier today, and I think it's interesting that you said that we saw him looking up because I didn't remember what we'd seen of the dad. I just remembered that it was like on OJ at that part. And then obviously when it cuts back to the dad, he seems almost as though he's facing forward. But when you see him in the hospital, he's got like the slice across his eye, and the X-ray makes it seem like it's so far back inside of his skull. So I think he must have been like looking up
Yeah, he
at
was
the sky, and
looking
it went
all the way
right
up.
into his eye.
Because
Yeah.
otherwise
And
his
it
like
just went,
Stetson would have protected him. That's what I was thinking. Otherwise it would
Mm.
have fallen down. But that sequence is just horrifying. Like the blood squirting out, him reciting the names of the
There's like
horses.
really a squirt at one point when they're in the
Yeah.
car.
when I saw the blood, I was like, oh, it's a head injury, and like head injuries bleed more than like other things. And then I saw the squirt, and I was like, oh, I don't think head injuries do that.
It is a brain injury. Yeah. As it turns out,
Yeah.
it went into the brain.
And that image that they when they show his face, like with his eye like split open, horrifying, so haunting, so good.
Mhm.
Like there's not a lot of like super horrifying moments in this, but when they do them, like you think about them while you're falling asleep at night, you know. um, but okay, another thing that you have to say, because shortly after this, we meet our favorite girl, which is Emerald, played by Kiki Palmer, who fucking slayed this role.
Mhm.
Oh, so
And
good.
she's gay, baby.
Oh
And
yeah.
she's so hot, and all of her clothes are so cool.
hot.
I know. Mid movie, I texted John. I was like, I am obsessed with this outfit that she is wearing. Her little skeleton boots. Are you kidding?
Oh my
Mhm.
God, no, she's so iconic. I will say that if I was Daniel Kaluuya, if I was OJ, I would have murdered her though in cold blood for
Oh, yeah.
being so. She's very shitty at her job, and kind
That's
of
her
leaves him
side
in the
gig.
lurch. No, it's so not fair. That made me so mad. I was like, I love her so much, but like every time he needs help and he so obviously needs it so bad, she like won't do it. And it just pissed me off. But I still
I
love her.
think you could argue that they both have a lot of room for growth at the job, because his job should also be not just animal wrangler. He's not good at like wrangling the people around him. He's not commanding the room,
Oh,
commanding a space. You know what I mean? And he
I
needs to
just
work
mean
on
as like
that
a
as well.
brotherly, sisterly helping out thing because like they
Mm.
just lost their dad and OJ has to freaking do the whole farm by himself because Emerald
Yeah.
won't help him even when he asks. So that pissed me off, but I still love her. But I love in her little opening thing. She like is tooting her own horn of all the cool things she can do, like motorcycle work, seamstress, actor, singing on the side, all that shit. And like
That's
all of
us.
it
We do
comes
singing on the
back.
side.
Yes. But all of it comes back. Like all the little random shit that she mentions is like in the rest of the movie and it's brilliant.
Yeah, I remember when we see the sewing scene. The first time you leaned over to me and you were like, she said earlier she was a seamstress. Like, and so I
That
thought
was
it was
jazz.
very important
Well,
to know.
and
Yeah.
the whole motorcycle scene at the very end.
Yes,
Oh yeah.
totally.
The big motorcycle work. Come on.
With the e-bike. But
um,
yeah, I mean, I think not only is that scene when they're like on set to film the commercial or whatever, it is so crucial in so many different. Okay, that's what I'm kind of saying a little bit. I think, other than Purple People Eater extended moment aside, there's not a lot that I would cut from this movie, because I really do feel like most of the scenes are doing a lot of heavy lifting. Like this one scene is setting up like animals are unpredictable even when trained. You can only train an animal so much. Things can get really dangerous really fast. The sibling dynamic, how they're both sort of coping after their dad's death, the way that they like bonk heads against each other. It sets up the connection with the cinematographer, Antler's Horse, which is quite the name. They're covering so much ground in that.
yeah, and the whole like you can't look the horse in the eyes or it gets super
Mhm.
aggressive. That's like the whole second half of the movie. And that's established right there. Yeah, there's so the characters in this are so well developed too, which is just really lovely to see. Just really nice. Nice change of pace from some other movies that we do. Not that I don't love an undeveloped character, but hey, it's nice to see it. Um, but yeah, it was I really liked this whole opening. It was really really good. And I also really liked how they brought Jupiter's claim into it because I didn't really get what was going on at first, and it's also pretty sad because they aren't doing very well. Hayward's Hollywood Horses is not doing very well. I'll also just want to comment on this real quickly. Like in the movie, there's like this lore. Like the family has a history in Hollywood, and when I saw this at Alamo Draft House, there was like this like pre-movie like talk with Jordan Peele. He wasn't there. Don't worry, we're not that fancy. They just played an interview. They just played an interview before. Um, but he was talking about like the very first motion picture, which was like a series of images in rapid succession. Like it was an image of a black man on a horse, and no one knows who that guy is. But everybody knows who the director is. And Jordan Peele apparently did like all this research trying to figure out who he was to see if there was any way to find out who he was. But it's really lost the time. At least he couldn't figure it out. And so, like, for this movie, he created his own version of history where the Hayward family, like Otis Sr., Otis Jr., and OJ and Emerald, are descendants of that guy who is the first guy on first person on screen. And so
The first
I really, really
stuntman, movie
loved that.
star,
Yeah,
and animal wrangler all in one.
yeah, exactly. The total package. So I really liked that he like created this like like black historical Hollywood family that doesn't actually exist, unfortunately, but it was cool that it had like this like deep history to it. I don't know, there's just so many layers to this movie. He really thought all this shit out. God.
Well, it also it that works in the sense both of like, he really tried hard in the real world to find the identity of this person.
Yeah.
And he couldn't find it, but he gave them an identity, which
Mhm.
is an interesting way to like approach honoring that legacy. But it also makes sense for like why OJ is holding on to the business so hard. You know what I mean? It's not just like his dad's business, it's like this long history, this long
Legacy.
legacy that
So
has
much
been like
pressure.
really overlooked and buried. And he's like, no, this is important. Like,
Mhm.
this is worth upholding, even if we have to sell some of our horses to do it.
Yeah.
Talk about selling the farm, even maybe. Like, he's doing what he can to hold down the business.
Yeah,
He's
he's trying
doing
to
his
make it work when
best.
he obviously like wasn't prepared to like be the leader of the whole group because it's like, you know, no one's prepared when that like a quarter falls out of the sky and kills your dad. Like that, you can't prepare for that shit.
Sure.
Um but it's just so sad when they introduce Steven Yeun because like you don't realize it's sad at the time, but he sells Lucky to Jupiter's Claim and he's
Ugh.
sold this is the 10th horse that he has sold to Jupiter's Claim and he has a little meeting with Jupe to try to like you know
He wants to buy him back.
negotiate a way to buy back the horses and Jupe's being real cagey about it. And you're like, huh, maybe he just doesn't want to sell him back because he likes having them. No, no. He's been feeding them to an alien.
Yeah.
They all are dead. They're all already dead. Wow. That when that hit later on in the movie, that really fucking sucked.
He sold 10 of them, and every single day for the last 6 months, Jupe's just been tossing them into the sky, basically.
Ugh.
Yeah, I really think though that Steven Yeun like bodied this role. He was so good. Also, he looks so fucking
He's
handsome
so
in cowboy
handsome.
stuff. Like,
He's so
He's so good
dreamy.
looking.
ooh, he's so dreamy when he's like having his like horror Gordy flashbacks, and you just are looking at his beautiful face. I'm like, oh, he's having a hard time right now, but ain't he good looking?
Yeah. That scene though is one of my favorites when they're like in his office trying to talk business with him. Like I love it so much because it's such an interesting character study to me. Like they're both trying to build and form this professional, both siblings are trying to build and form this professional relationship with him, but they have such like diametrically opposed viewpoints and perspectives and
how
like
to do it.
ideas of how to go about that. Yeah, and they're both really trying to be like, no, shut up, mine is working. And they're both kind of right to a degree, but Otis is like, you're being unprofessional just like you were earlier. And Emerald is like, this man is a celebrity who has decorated his whole office with swag from his roles. Obviously he wants to talk about it. I am flattering him. He's taking us into the secret room where he doesn't take anybody for free. And so it's just really interesting to see. Like, I could write an essay about that whole scene. And they're like competing goals and like the actions that they're taking. I just loved that scene from like a analytical, psychological standpoint. I thought it was so cool.
I want to know who are the people that are paying $50,000 to spend the night in that tiny room full of like horror, like
German
tragedy
couple.
porn. Like, who are they?
You know there are people out there like that.
Of course there are, but I still want to know who they are.
Imagine being like, it makes me so horny to know that a chimpanzee ripped this girl's fucking face off. And we're near some of the memorabilia. What? Okay, please seek therapy. I don't want to yuck your yum, but dear
Please
God,
Yeah. Yeah,
please get help.
It's a lot.
I don't want to go full into the Gordy scene yet because it's not quite happening yet. But they show the shoe in this moment, and they showed the shoe in the opening scene. And my question is, why was the shoe pointing into the sky like it defied gravity?
A lot
I
of
don't
people
understand.
A lot of people are very focused on the shoe. And have had a lot of questions about the shoe, including Logan Paul, who
How
really
dare you bring him back up
saying,
again?
I'm just saying. But my friend Brianna and I were talking about it after she saw the movie. And she like texted me about the shoe on her way home, and then I had some time to research and Google before she got home to talk on the phone. And there's like a billion SEO articles about it as well. So clearly people are like Googling, and all the websites are like trying to capitalize on those searches. But all that to say, I didn't really find any solid answers. And I think it's kind of just like very, very small chance, but sometimes you drop a quarter and it lands on its edge. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
And I think that's part of it. Is it's just like it's part of the spectacle. It was this really weird detail, and that's why it was like immortalized in the case, because it was such a weird detail. I think also maybe a little bit it was there for the audience in the beginning when you like know you're seeing an alien movie but you don't know what's happening yet, to be like, did something otherworldly happen on this movie set? You know what I mean? A little bit there as a tease for the audience, but I also just think like to be an interesting visual detail, essentially.
Could have just been like leaning up against the coffee table, but no, but that is fine.
Weren't we just talking about before we started, Jordan Peele said not everything has to mean everything, sometimes things are just for fun?
Yes, but on Reddit people were saying that like I think it was just something that, because like what we don't see at the very beginning is that Jupe is hiding under a table and like seeing everything. And I think some like people were talking about like that's just like something that he like chose to focus on. So like you were seeing it from like his point of view, and it's what he's focusing on instead of like all the horrible shitty stuff actually happening.
That's fair.
Like the big theme is to like not look at it in the eyes. So like when you're watching it, like your eye goes to the shoe and like not really the animal.
Oh, interesting.
That is interesting.
Yeah, I just thought it was weird. I didn't really know if it meant anything. I was just like, huh, this is kind of unnatural, but whatever. There's more important things. Um, but I would say that I really would like to go to Jupiter's claim. And I would really like to be a part of Jupiter's family so I could have one of those sick fucking outfits. Just saying.
Isn't
Seems like my
Universal
ideal life. Yes, but they don't have the
making
outfits there for me. I'm talking about my fantasy life here, where I marry into Stephen Yoon's family in this film.
a valid fantasy, quite frankly?
Like, we're jumping around a little bit. I just gonna touch on it now. He has the coolest fucking custom alien cowboy shirt that or jacket suit that anyone has ever
He
seen in their
does.
entire life. And before I die, I will have something similar to that. And that's a promise.
Nice.
I
But
believe in you,
anyway,
Monica.
I think that I really like the way that I actually introduce like the alien in this movie. Like it's so subtly done. It's just such a beautiful setting that they have like here, this like valley, the lonely valley as it says in the IMDb description. Like it's so gorgeous. There's so many clouds. It's so mysterious and like it's just this never-ending valley where this horse could be running forever and ever and ever. And it's just I don't know. Visually, it's so beautiful. I'm so glad this shit was on IMAX. Damn.
Okay, actually, I might be jumping ahead a little bit again with another one of my questions, so I apologize. But just because we just talked about the shoe, so many people have talked about the shoe. I haven't really seen people talking about the cloud that never moves, and I want to talk about the cloud that never moves because early on in the movie, when you first notice it, you don't really know what the deal is with our flying friend, and so you assume, I assumed at least, like maybe it's camouflage or something, like maybe that's part of it. And I think it is part of it, but it never really is explored beyond that cloud hasn't moved for the last 6 months when our little flying friend first came around. What's the deal with the cloud?
I think he makes a cloud around him.
But then why doesn't it move when he moves?
I don't think it could, like, if he's moving really fast, I don't think that it works like that because I think it's like a cloud. It's like a big fart surrounding him. And it's protecting him from being seen. I don't know how it works. I'm not an alien. I'm
And
not
Why
again,
aren't you
it
an
could-
alien, Monica?
Yeah,
I'm
why
sorry,
aren't you
I
an alien,
wish.
Monica?
I know.
It could
I know.
be
It's getting a
another
lot
one of those
signs, but I'm not.
things. It could be another one of those things that's just like because it's cool and because it's mysterious, and didn't we give you enough other things to ponder in and reflect upon in this movie? But
Well, okay, here's the thing. Here's an idea. I think it's
okay.
the progression of the monster itself because I think at first it's like living in harmony in that area. It's hunting when it needs to and it wants to stay hidden and it wants to stay out of sight. So it's staying in its little cloud that it creates because I believe it can create a cloud. But later on, when it starts like being more aggressive with the people in that area and they start interacting with it or whatever or accidentally interacting with it, I think that's when it starts like coming out more and more and more because it's like maybe it's like a aggression display or something like that to be like, don't fuck with me. I'm a
So
big
the cloud
old
is
diss.
like sort of habitat-ish, maybe, that it brings with it. That's home base.
I think it's camouflage. I think that's camouflage, but I think it shows itself when it's like trying to be like, yeah, actually I'm a big old thing and I'm gonna eat you. You know?
Okay.
Or maybe it got sick after it ate the horse. The
I just
plastic
think
horse.
Valid.
everybody's questioning the shoe. Nobody's questioning the cloud. Where's the cloud discourse?
I like the cloud. I love.
I like the cloud
so
too.
much.
I just think we should talk about it.
I love.
And that we have. Yeah, we did great.
it. I just think that I think the opening horse disappearance scene with Ghost, R.I.P. Ghost, was really really great, and you just like you don't see much, but you just see that tiny little bit. And OJ just has no fucking words for it. Can we just talk about Daniel Kaluuya in this? Oh my god,
He's
He
so
just is-
good in this.
he's so subtle. He's so subtle, and he can do so much with like the tiniest twitch of his fucking face. My God, give him all the Oscars.
He's also very hot and very
I
classic
know.
cowboy.
I know.
Yeah, he's got the
He's
stoic
very
cowboy
sexy
thing
in this.
down. Ugh.
I will say, did y'all like when he let his first like nope out after seeing like Ghost? Like all 8 of us in the movie theater were cracking up laughing.
Oh yeah, it was hilarious. It was so hilarious. Every time that was used, it was perfect. But I just love the whole cast here. Let me finally get everyone after their first viewing of the space anomaly. And I just love, even before this is part of the Twitter discourse I was talking about. I follow Americana at brand memes, and you should too,
As
especially
everyone
I
should,
also
if you're from
follow
LA.
that, please.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'm talking to the listeners now. It might not make a lot of sense to you if you're not from LA, but you can learn about LA things, very niche LA
Learn about
jokes.
the Gower Gulch. That's
Yeah, you
relevant
can
because
learn
Gower
of the
Gulch is
Western
very
theme.
important.
The Gower
Mhm.
Gulch is incredibly important. But yeah, before this movie came out, when just the trailer had come out, Americana at brand memes posted a picture of the front of Fry's Electronics in Burbank that has a like classic
The
disc
alien.
spaceship crashing into the front, and they were like, nope, 2022. And then literally that exact Fry's is in the movie. Like, I couldn't believe my fucking eyes. What a gift. R.I.P. Fry's Electronics. Thank God they kept that facade. It's stunning. Oh, and okay, shouts out to the Alice in Wonderland themed one that was in Topanga. No one talks about that one. It's not as cool, but it was pretty cool still. Anyway, this is a no Fry's erasure here on this podcast.
We love fries.
We love
It's
fries,
close now.
and we
The era is
also.
over.
I know, but let us live in the past.
Gone
Sure.
but never forgotten, Chelsea. Okay.
Important.
So
Important.
true. Also, that brings us to Angel, fucking Angel, played by Brandon Perea, another man that I have to love. It's hard. The list is getting longer and longer. He's so good looking. How do they do it? I loved the blonde tips.
He gives big Dave Franco vibes in this movie.
Oh, that's spot on.
Yeah.
Like
Uh-huh.
big Dave Franco vibes. And I'm into it. He's so good. This is
so
what his
good.
like first like major acting, like major acting role. I know he was in the OA.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. He's so grown up now. Wow. I watched the OA. Anyway.
Is that also kind of an alien-y show?
Yeah.
Or nice.
Yeah.
Okay,
There's a lot
they're
going on.
pulling from the
It's
Alien
hard
Project.
to really put your finger on the pulse of what the OA is. I'll tell you that,
Sure.
especially in
That's
the
what
second season.
That's really the only thing I know about the OA is that nobody can really say what it's about.
Fucking nuts, some would say. But I loved it. May the OA rest in peace as well.
5
but
stars, Angel.
He's the original Angel. Okay, anyway, we're moving on. We're moving on from the OA. It's fine. But his character is so funny. Like, brings the perfect amount of levity to this. Like, I love that he's an ancient aliens girly. Like, it's just so funny. I've heard that Ancient Aliens has gone a really dark, bad direction, but I've always wanted to watch it. So I don't know. I'll watch the early season.
Is it a show? I thought it was like one documentary.
Oh
no,
no,
it's
it's
a
a
show.
show on
Oh.
On History Channel.
Yeah.
Shows what I
Aliens.
know. I'm not enough engaged with my alien lore, I guess.
Wow,
Oh,
Chelsea,
babe.
embarrassing.
It's okay. I'm here.
Maybe
I'm
I should
here.
be. Okay.
I'm here.
Also, like later once they go back into his apartment, one of the weird things that I was saying is you could see like something and he's like mining crypto in like his apartment.
No.
Tragic.
I just
That
love
scene
that
is
he's
so funny.
That's probably why his
funny.
girlfriend broke up with him, quite
Yeah,
frankly.
and he has a
She
VR
blamed it on the
headset.
CW, but it was
Right?
because he was a
It's
crypto bro.
Fucking CW. That shit was so like they got the LA experience down in this
Right?
fucking show. It's so good. Oh man. And I love that he broke so many laws to monitor their cameras against their will. I also love that Barbie for how do you say her last name? Ferreria or I always get all the vowels mixed up.
Ferrera would be my guess,
Ferrera.
but I don't know that
added
I've
some
ever heard her
eyes
said
in
it
there
before.
that are not there. I love that Barbie is in this for literally 4 minutes for like a stupid fake jump scare, and literally that's it. Like that is the only thing. When I first watched this later on in the movie, the motorcyclist comes up and I turned to Chelsea and I was like, is it Barbie? Is that Barbie?
It seemed for a moment like maybe she was going to be a love interest for Keke Palmer. But I mean,
Ooh,
I guess not.
there
But I do
wasn't time.
wonder, I wonder if there was going to be more with her originally and those scenes like got cut, or like maybe she just really wanted to be in a Jordan Peele movie, you know what I mean? And who wouldn't? But it was interesting to me that they would cast such a well-known name and actress to, she's not just a name obviously, but that they would cast somebody who is so familiar right now, and that they would market to some degree on the fact that she's in the movie, like that was part of the marketing, and then for her to just be like walking around eating Cheetos, and being like, you know me, just shit talking, which like is absolutely iconic. Like I love it. But I'm curious about it.
It was perfect. I mean, I'm sure there's some stuff left on the cutting room floor, but like I'm glad she was there. I'm glad we got a little taste of Barbie because she is.
It was just for fun.
Just for laughs. Just for laughs. I am just so obsessed with Keke Palmer. Like Emerald is out here. Everybody is doing their work. They're setting up cameras. And Emerald's out here with her own plan. And it is to just, in the light of day, steal something from Jupiter's claim. Like something so large and so beautiful. And the first thing that you see when you enter the whole fucking theme park. She's just like, I'm just going to take it. And
this is mine now.
I just can't get over the scene where Jupiter comes to freaking confront them. And she's so fun. Okay, well, I guess his name isn't Jupiter. His name is
Ricky. Isn't that weird?
Yeah,
I don't know that they ever said it in the movie, but I read it in an article and I was like, oh, okay.
Like,
Jupiter's
why
just
when
his
I
character.
say Jupe, do I feel like I'm saying a bad word? Like when I say Jupe, I feel like I'm saying a bad word. So that's why I've been avoiding saying it. I don't know why, but anyway,
Why? That's what they call him.
I know. I don't know why. Anyway, so Jupe comes by and he's like,
look, it feels bad, but I'm gonna say it.
I'm gonna keep doing it. That's his name. I'm not gonna fucking call him Ricky. No one's gonna know who I'm talking about.
You can say Jupiter, his full name.
Nah, that's weird.
I was saying Jupiter, but that felt weird too. There's no right answer. Anyway,
both sound
Jupe
totally normal
by.
and fine to me. Jupe comes
so
by. Sorry.
He comes by to confront them, and I just like died. I couldn't.
Wait, do you think he came to confront them, or do you think he just came to give them the invitation?
No, he
and then
knew
noticed
that they stole it. No, I think he knew that they stole it.
I think that he came to give them the flyer, and then the instance that he saw it, he was like, "That's literally ours."
My guess was that he saw
right
them,
after.
Like he saw her take it, so he went up there and was like, also like, oh yeah, come to this thing.
Do you think they really have cameras on the front of the park all the way out like that, even before the parking lot? It seems kind of like an impoverished park to a degree.
I don't know. I just thought he was coming there to collect. And she plays it off so well. He's got no leg to stand on. And then they're just like,
oh, it was so funny.
Thumbs up. It's mortifying. It's literally mortifying. It's so perfect.
And then Angel's like, y'all are like doing crimes or something.
He like takes to take control of the whole situation. Like, Angel, please see yourself out. No.
5 stars, Angel.
Not anymore. Taking away stars for that. Calling that manager back up.
I love that when faced with a theft, like Jupe sends out his like young children to threaten adults, or maybe they just did it on their own accord. But I
think they probably did it themselves, because that one kid sure got punched in the face.
Yeah,
That scene was so funny because like at first you were like, oh shit.
At
oh
first it is
shit.
kind of scary.
It
Yeah.
was so
it's totally
scary. Like
scary.
just the way that they move and like the shadows and stuff like that. And
Dude. Okay, but here
and then
was
we
my
get his
first
second
thought.
nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
The first thought that I had once I saw them, I was like, in my mind, I was like, oh my God, it's happening. We're getting to see the aliens. Wow, 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 wow. And I was like, oh no, I'm disappointed with how they look. I'm like, oh no, why are they furry? Like, why do they have a furry body? And that's a weird
Well, they
thing
kind of
where
look like
Jupe
Gordy.
is doing, an
Yeah.
ape thing. This is some sort of play out of his subconscious. I don't
His
know.
childhood traumas.
Seek therapy, baby. There's no time now because you're dead. But I wish he had gone to some counseling. But a furry alien was not it. I did like the beady little eyes.
I liked that they looked like scary owls.
They did.
And then
Yeah.
I liked that one of them was like hanging from the ceiling.
And then he got absolutely rocked.
Dude, okay,
That's
it
what I
reminded
would
me.
do. Just
Punch an
him.
alien. Yeah.
Do you remember that viral video where like the guy like jumps out of the trash can in a mask and this guy who he was scaring just like absolutely clocks him in the fucking face immediately and the guy just passes out? That's the vibes I got.
Well, if y'all what was it, Independence Day or something, like with Will Smith and like Will Smith punches an alien in the face in Independence Day and is like, welcome to Earth.
Oh yeah. That's beautiful. It's a beautiful reference to the greatest film of all time, Independence Day, which is also really, really long. But let me tell you that it's paced way worse than this one.
But yeah, I mean, I thought it was, speaking of his childhood trauma, by the way, actually, was that were we just saying that, or was that now 5 minutes ago? But either way, we kind of breezed past that scene a little bit, and we really need to discuss it further because it is so fucked up, but it was so interesting watching it for the second time, knowing where that scene was going, because you haven't gotten the full picture yet. You've just seen that bit from the beginning with Gordy kind of looking at the camera, and you don't really know what had happened yet. And I don't know about you guys, but I kind of, the first time in my head was like, maybe it wasn't the chimp and the movie just wants us to think that, but it was an alien something or other, blah, blah, blah. And we're going to find out the chimp was blameless after all. And so then you're getting this setup from Jupiter as he's explaining it, and he's being like, oh yeah, SNL did this crazy sketch, hilarious. And it's so LA, it's so, well, not LA, I guess, because they film in New York, but it's so of the industry. He's being like, Chris Kattan and this person and this person. The audience was laughing like very much along with those jokes, and then it cuts so hard to that very different vibe of him under the table just for like a second, and like the absolute like hush that fell over the theater when we were in there. It was so good the way they do like the vibe shift, and they are like cutting back and forth between them and comparing them. It's so well done.
It really is. I mean, I saw some hot takes, this is in scare quotes, about this movie, and they're just like, I liked it, but like, what was all the Gordy stuff? And like, I could have cut all of that and I would have liked it a lot better. I'm like,
Wrong.
bitch, it wouldn't make a lick of sense without the Gordy stuff. Sorry. You need that context so you can understand what's going on with Jupe, because like, he thinks that he can tame the beast because of his experience with Gordy. And like, now let's like get into that fucking scene where it actually goes down, because that shit is, oh, it's so horrifying. It goes on for so long.
Yeah, it is.
I thought you were
really...
gonna say something, Sydney, but you're chewing ice. I was like, I stopped talking because I thought you were opening your mouth to say something.
No, I'm getting a brain freeze because I'm chewing ice. Hi. So somebody was like, is Sydney eating on the last podcast? And so I was on mute, but hi, yeah, I'm
trying
kidding.
not to eat into the mic this time. Look, we're only humans. Sometimes it's gonna happen. But yeah, that moment is just, if you somehow have missed that is like the whole setup for everything that has happened in this movie, I could maybe understand why you would be like, why is that a focus? Other than, again, it is incredible character study to be like, this man who had this really traumatic experience and is trying to like have some ownership over it without really reconciling the trauma of it, and maybe thinks that he is like special, he was the person not attacked at all, and so maybe he has this special relationship with creatures and he knows how to do it, and blah blah blah, and like hubris of man, etc. But it's the whole reason that the movie happens, because whether or not our flying friend is like coming by of its own accord the first time or whatever, we know from his like speech later at the viewing that he came with the flyer to invite them to, that he's like, for the past 6 months, blah blah blah. And we know after the scene on the commercial in the beginning when they like got sent home with Lucky, that it has been 6 months since their dad died. And so, I mean, we're very clearly supposed to like reconcile those timelines together and say like these two things happened at once, essentially. And Jupiter has been literally feeding the alien for 6 months now. That's why suddenly it's so territorial, coming over, scooping up horses, really making this area its home and not drifting along to wherever is next. It has a regular feeding source.
Yeah, man, Jupe made this shit go down because he was trying to tame the fucking beast. Ugh. But
Well,
I
tame and
get,
also use it for profit too. Like,
Yeah, because
yeah.
his sad little, that's the thing with the trauma too, is this is what he has now, like, can you imagine that you're that child actor, you see this horrific thing, not only I'm sure are you sort of pushed out of the industry to a degree because people don't want to reckon with that or have to deal with that, but also what would your ability to continue working be like after that? You know what I mean? Like, could you even feel comfortable on a set again? And so he's kind of built his whole career around this like very early childhood work that he had, and that's really all that he has, other than, I mean, he's got a family, but like that's what he's built his life around.
Well, and his character is a direct allegory to like, or not allegory, that's too fancy of a word, but it's like a reference to characters during that era, tokenized Asian characters, especially children, like exactly like Shortstop in Indiana Jones. Like that's the type of character that his child actor character was supposed to represent. And a lot of actors who were in those positions like didn't get a lot of work later on in their career once they stopped being a cute little kid also. So like, he has monetized all of his success from his childhood, and he has to still keep on reliving it to like, he to make his living. And he's also, that there's so much trauma wrapped up into that he's obviously not dealt with. I don't know. I thought that was
That's
really
really interesting perspective racially to me, because like I didn't recognize this until later reading something online, I forget, but apparently Jupiter, his character was not the main character in Kid Sheriff. He was like one of the side characters. And Keke Palmer's character remarks on like the black boy from the story and like whatever happened to him and what did he do. Yeah, so that makes a lot of sense too. But I also had heard that Jesse Plemons was maybe gonna be cast in that role originally, and he had to pull out and go do some other movie. But I don't know if that's true, because IMDb trivia said he also maybe was going to play Brandon Perea's character. And like, I see him more as a Jupiter
Oh my god.
figure than as Angel, because I think he would also be really great in the like washed up child star clinging to what he has kind of thing. It'd be like a slightly different energy that's like less optimistic, hopeful I can make this work, and more like desperate dragging for something. You know what I mean? I think. But I like this version better.
I like this version better too, and I also want to correct myself. I called him Shortstop. It's Short Round, and I am so sorry. And his real name is Key, and then Huy, and then Kwan is his last name. And I just found out about this the other day. He is the main fucking guy in Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, and he fucking slays it. But like how many other film credits does he have? I'll tell you right now. I'm on his IMDb. He hadn't worked since 2002, before Everything Everywhere All at Once. He was in one other movie called Finding Ohana in 2021. But like just similar to what I was like, oh, he's gonna be an American born Chinese too. That's
and
awesome.
Everything Everywhere All at Once is such an incredible movie, and Waymond is such a cutie.
Oh my
I
god.
need to go see it.
Oh,
It's
dude,
so
it's so
good.
good.
Rebecca and
It
I
is.
saw it together.
Oh my god, it slaps. Oh shit, he is in the Goonies too. Yeah, exactly. So he had like all these roles from like 84 to 1991, or like 1992, and then like barely anything for the entire rest of his life until now. So it's similar to that. And I think there's also something to be said, because I feel like there's some uncomfy vibes in the whole premise of Gordy's home, because it's like an all white family, and then they have Jupiter as one of their kids. Jupe is one of the kids, and then Gordy is their other kid. I don't know. I'm getting some weird vibes there. Don't like it. Don't think that it was chill.
Did y'all know that Gordy, even though like Gordy isn't real, but it's like based off of real life events, kind of like it's inspired by. And the only reason somebody brought this up and they were like, oh yes, this monkey or this chimpanzee named Travis. And I was like, I've seen TikToks about this recently. This couple had a chimp named Travis and like treated it like a human person, and he was in a bunch of commercials and like acting and all this kind of stuff. And Travis's human dad died, so it was just Travis's human mom, and then the mom's friend came over and was holding his toy or something, and Travis like went ballistic and like mauled her face off
And ripped off her face. Didn't she have to get a face transplant?
Yes, and she did Oprah interviews and a bunch of stuff like that. So like when we see Jupiter and in the theater or in like the corral, he's like pointing like, and this is my co-star, and you see like kind of her fucked up face. That's what the woman who the real life chimp, like it's based off of her.
A direct reference to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh
Yikes.
man. I knew, because I seen the trailer and they have that scene where she like stands up and is looking up, and you see her like shawl blow away,
flutter.
and you see that like she has no like lips or anything left. And so I remembered that from the trailer, and when I was like, you don't see, you don't see Gordy ripping up this child, thank the Lord, because no one needs to fucking see that. But you can hear it and you can imagine it, and I'm like, okay, well now I know that she survives and is just disfigured for the rest of her life, and I put that together, and luckily that's exactly when I had to pee, so I missed that reveal, but it was fine. I had already figured it out, so we're all good. But yeah, it's just that whole scene is so disturbing, because it's so like, it's sound heavy. You hear all this squishing and thumping and crying and breathing and all of this horrible shit.
And it's just set up so well too, because when they walk in, he's like, that's the first exploding fist bump. And then when the chimp is like reaching out with its fist and he's starting to reach back. Oh.
And then plop.
Yeah, and then he gets shot and the blood splatters everywhere. I mean, like, it's also like the perfect like Jordan Peele moment where it's like so fucking horrifying, but they're doing the exploding fist bump. Like, that's what they're doing. They're doing a explode like a chow, like that's what that is. That's what the monkey and him were gonna do. Their big, special, meaningful moment was an exploding fist bump. It's hilarious and it's deeply upsetting, and I will have night terrors about it. um, but I think like my favorite part about this entire movie is like the reveal that it's not a ship, that it's not a ship filled with the viewers or whatever Stephen Yoon thinks that it is, or excuse me, Jupe thinks that it is.
He's like, and
That
they
it's
trust me. That's why I'm still standing here, sir. Please
sir,
don't get ahead
they're
of
not
yourself.
a they. I mean, maybe their pronouns are they them, but like they're not multiple of them. It's one big old thing.
Do
And
we think this like where I'm assuming he's just been out there by himself feeding the alien guy, right? And
yeah,
so
I don't think
his
he's been
first
feeding
time
it people.
no, he's been feeding it horses.
Yeah, yeah.
But do you
But I
like
don't
this
think
is his first time like doing it in front of the audience, and
yeah.
so that's
Yeah.
why it behaved like didn't act like it normally was.
Yeah, I
'cause
mean,
I think it started to be more threatened by that, and it had just been pissed off by the fake horsey that it ate.
True.
And they said when they're first walking into the office for the first scene, you can hear someone on the phone being like, "Oh, totally, we can rustle up some more VIP press passes for our friends and family pre-show viewing or whatever on Friday." Like this is very much the debut, and that's also why you know that like this is such a desperate cash grab, because even that is like very much not full. You know what I mean? You can see like how sad it's just like a very small rundown amusement park all the way out kind of far away and not near the big cities in California. I mean, it's not that far, but it's not that close either. Out in
We
Agua
would have gone
Dulce
to it.
by Vasquez Rocks. Vasquez, it's kind of a drive.
Totally, I'd go there.
Yeah, we would have gone.
I was like,
for
we
sure,
would have
but yeah. But Disneyland it is not.
No, definitely not. And like I just everything with the scene where the entire what is it called? The
Oh, the
star
Star Lasso experience.
Lasso.
the star lasso experience. Oh, it's so good. The neon sign they had fucking slapped. This is where we see Stephen Yoon's incredible suit that is like a beautiful red, like embroidered cowman suit. Cowman. Interesting that I said that.
I thought you did it on purpose. I was prepared to roll with it.
No. It just came out.
Just came
I don't know.
out.
It's a suit, so it felt like an upgrade from boy. So we went to
Cowman.
cowman.
Yeah.
I'm
Yes.
a cowman.
You wanted to give
not
him
a
his proper
cowboy.
respect, and I think
I'm a
that's right and appropriate.
Cowman on a steel horse I ride. Anyway, and it has the beautiful flowers all over it, and then very subtly on the back there is a disc-like spaceship, and I think there's little alien heads on the cuffs, and it's beautiful, and I want it, and I wept a little bit when I saw it.
Yeah.
So at least he looked fucking sick when he
I was
died,
gonna
you know?
fly.
He looked so good, and his wife also looked great as hell. Interesting placement for the fringe, kind of like a vagina V of fringe on her skirt. Very exciting. Not necessarily flattering, but also something that I would wear if I could. But man, it's so good. Like I love what they do with electricity in this, because like the spaceship slash alien has the ability to like take down all power sources in its general vicinity. And in this movie, they have this part of the movie, they have all these icy machines. One of which being cactus flavor, which is a flavor that I must have, and I must find out if it's real. That sounds so good. But like
People on
watching
Reddit
it
were saying
stop,
that is like a normal flavor in the Southwest.
we must go to the Southwest.
I would
Spooky
like-
Tuesday goes out west.
I would love that. I've had like cactus blossom chocolate, and it was not the flavor for me. But I would try an icy maybe.
But it just was so cool, like watching them like slowly come to a stop,
Mm-hmm.
like as the power went out. And I also thought it was just so brilliant that they only showed Jupe's face as all of the carnage was ensuing and as all the people were being sucked up into the air.
Mm-hmm.
Like you just saw him and you'd see like you'd hear the screams, you saw a little bit of the a person flying behind him and the dust kicking up like oh so good. I love Jordan Peele.
Yeah, I
But
I thought they did an amazing job with that. And then I love that like you don't really kind of what's happened, but when it cuts to them all squished in the tube, and it's like pulsating around them and they're just like screaming and scared and they don't have an appreciation for what has just happened. Very scary. A plus on alien design to me for that part.
this
So
part when they were being
awesome.
digested, I was cracking up laughing the entire time. It was so funny. And I'm like reading everybody's like, this will give me nightmares. This I was like, that is one of the funniest parts of this entire movie. Like where she runs into the fake horse. Hilarious.
So like and then she starts screaming bloody fucking murder. It's so good.
It's so funny. Like I don't know. I just imagine them like in like some kind of tube. You know what I mean? Like I can't.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like
They
this is so-
absolutely were in a tube.
yeah.
They were in a tube, a very beautiful tube. And I love how they introduced like the whole intestines of this alien too because they show it in the very beginning when like that's like goes to the screen that shows the very first footage of the black man on the horse. And you're in the tube. I don't know why, but who cares? I loved it. It was cool. um but I mean I think the real fun of this movie comes like as they're finally trying to get the shot and they actually have the means to do it when they get our guy, what's his name?
Antlers
Oh,
horse.
Yeah.
Antlers horse in the mix. What a man. What a
Isn't that right? Something
voice.
like that.
Antlers Holst.
Holst.
Oh,
Holst.
Yeah.
his voice is
Michael Wincott.
unreal.
Yeah, like oh my god, shook me up inside. My body was changed after hearing the sound of his voice. Like what and you know he's gonna fucking die. You meet him and you know he's gonna die. You know, like of course he's gonna die. His ego's too big for him to not die. But
Sure.
I didn't think he was gonna recite all the words to Flying Purple People Eater. And I absolutely lost my fucking shit in the theater. I was pretty drunk at this point, and I laughed way too hard for the vibes of the theater, and no one was down. And it was so good. It's so good. And if you didn't know, they've released his spoken word reciting of that on Spotify. It is on
Give
Spotify.
it a Grammy.
It's incredible. It's just oh my god. If that one
Oh my god, could you imagine?
if that won a Grammy, it would be great. No,
It'd
that
be-
would
they'd be
solve
right for
something
that,
me.
yeah.
They would be right. They would be correct. They'd be correct for that. Um, but I just love well, okay, actually, before we get into the floating inflatable tube men, we've got to talk a little bit more about the whole house thing and some questions that I had about logistics with the power going out. I
Okay.
mean, we've talked a little bit about the whole house scene where the beautiful alien being is fucking pissed, you know? And so it shits
Mhm.
all over their house, literally. It shits blood all over their house. Um and you hate to see anyone having a bloody shit like that. So my heart goes out to him. Just really unfortunate. But I mean, like when you realize we talked about this for a hot sec, but when you realize that scary scream sound you've been hearing the whole movie, whenever it comes by, is literally the people inside of it screaming. Like that is so
Oh yeah.
awesome. That's so
Yeah.
awesome.
That was a
Oh,
great moment in film.
and I just geeked about this whole alien design in general because like I love the idea of like because it to me it looks like a ray, like a stingray.
Yeah.
Its skin feels like I didn't touch
It's
it
giving
obviously,
SpongeBob.
but it's giving stingray to me. I did SeaWorld camp, which is not cool, but I did do some cool things. And I touched a lot of stingrays in my time. And I fed a stingray a little fish with my toes went in a stingray pit. And anyway, so I got to know all about them. And Chelsea sent this awesome picture earlier, but like the way that they eat is super similar to the way that the freaking alien eats. It like sucks up from a
Mm-hmm.
hole underneath its mouth, and like you need to post that picture for social. Like it literally looks like the swirling what's it called?
Vortex. Yeah.
Yeah, vortex
It's
or
like a
like
It's like
tornado.
vacuuming
tornado.
it
Thank
up.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks exactly like that. I just love. I'm really interested by like monster design and like what pieces
Mm-hmm.
and of different real things people bring together to make something horrifying. And this was just so brilliant. I read this article on Polygon, which had like a little description of the different things that brought it together. Um, okay, let's see. Hold on. This is what they said. They talked to this guy named John O. DeBerry, who's a Caltech professor who worked as a consultant on the UFO design for Nope. And he said that it mostly was like an amalgamation of terrestrial aquatic life forms such as jellyfish, squids, and octopuses. And they were looking at these jellyfish. So this is what he said. He said, when we feed our jellyfish, they have what we call oral arms, which are these almost silk-like ribbons that end up getting released and displayed when they're feeding. And it's really cool analogy to see them at between feeding time in my lab. They basically like put little shrimps in there, and they have these little like silken arms that comes out. So that's sort of similar to like what it turns into at the end. Um, and like those types of tentacles. And then they also said that part of the design was both based on something called the ghost knife fish, which is such a fucking cool name. And that a
Great
ghost
name.
knife fish can generate electricity using a specialized tail organ derived from neural or spinal cord neurons. So like they got the idea for it having the like electrical field from this fish. But like its skin looks just like a stingray. It looks just like a stingray. And you were saying, Chelsea, what you thought it looked like a sand dollar too?
Yeah, it looks like a sand dollar. When it
does.
looks like the classic alien ship at first, before it has, revealed anything else about how its body works, it really looks like a floating little sand dollar swimming around before it transforms into Mewtwo from the Pokemon movie.
It does look like me too.
But
Also,
actually, sorry, but before we move on, my Tumblr Dash has been really good at serving me unintentionally relevant content lately. It showed me some very scary looking mask when we were doing the Black Phone, and then it didn't seem to be relevant, so I didn't talk about it. But that's where I saw the stingray thing for this movie. And also a couple of days ago, I saw something about an episode of Courage the Cowardly Dog called The Last of the Star Makers. And I went back and rewatched that episode because it's about like a space squid that comes to Earth. And the squid is nice. The squid is like, we love the squid in that episode, but it really reminded me because the space squid and the design of the squid. And then when I watched it, what was interesting is it's kind of like Finding Nemo-y in the beginning. Like it's a mama and the dada, and they've got little eggs, and then blah blah blah. But they opposite of Finding Nemo, because the mama and the eggs get away. But they're getting away from a space whale that is vacuuming everything towards it, and that's how it's eating. So I absolutely believe that Jordan Peele would have watched such a thing and drawn inspiration, at least somewhere back in the recesses of his brain, from however many years ago that show was on air. You know what I mean?
oh yeah, totally. And also when I was watching it, like when the alien like unfurls itself, I was like, biblically accurate angels. Like it looks like
It's
biblically
kind of
accurate
peacocky,
angels.
also.
Yeah, and I saw on this Polygon episode, there's this show, it's an anime show called Neon Genesis Evangelion or
Oh, I've heard of
Evangelion.
that.
Yeah, and they show a picture of this alien creature in it, and yeah, it looks like a biblically accurate angel, and it also looks just like this alien. So I love all these different places. He must have had so much fucking fun making this shit. I loved it. Also, okay, another thing, the alien had counter shading, and I appreciated that. Had like a white belly, it was darker on top. That's called
I
demonstrating.
so a lot of the times with like monster movies like this, like the suspense of seeing it is like such a big deal. And then once you
Yeah.
finally see like the monster, the alien, it's like disappointing a little bit. It was really funny to be like, oh, his monster's a jellyfish. Okay. That's cool. But I was like, it's really pretty.
It's
Like, you know what I mean?
beautiful.
Like,
Yeah, it
imagine
was
seeing that in the fucking sky though. Like, are you,
scary.
like,
Scary.
horrifying.
I know how I would feel because I've already told my story on this podcast of the time that I didn't know that SpaceX was doing a blast into the sky. And I was driving and my phone was dead. And I looked and everyone on the street was looking up at the sky. And so then I looked up at the sky and I saw the craziest fucking light thing I've ever seen in my life that kind of looked like a jellyfish, but it was in the nighttime. So, you know. And I
So
was
then
like,
you were like, is
aliens are
this-
here. And I didn't have my
Probably
phone.
die.
I couldn't tell. I couldn't check to see. So I was like, I gotta call Adam. I was like
The
going
only
like
reasonable
90 on the
conclusion.
freeway to try to find him. I was like, we're gonna have to leave LA. Anyway, then I called Adam and he was like, it's SpaceX, you fucking idiot. It hurts. It hurts. Anyway, yeah, I geeked out. I was like, I could watch this movie a million times just because he fucking slayed it. Like you made this
Yeah.
alien fan big happy. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I
Can we
think
talk about briefly one of my favorite details
Yeah,
in this
sure.
movie? So they call the alien jean jacket after a horse
Yes.
that the dad and OJ were trying to like wrangle. And
They're
it was
training it for
supposed-
Scorpion King.
but it was supposed to be Emerald's horse that she was supposed to train, which is
Mhm.
like a big kind of detail that they go back and name. And he was like, I remember doing that because that was the first job like dad took me on. So it like linked.
And she remembers it because dad took it away from her and then didn't even bother to look at her through the window. But her brother
But
turned
he
around and
did.
looked at her. Her brother's got her.
One of the best little details is that orange sweatshirt that he's wearing is like a Scorpion King staff sweatshirt.
It's so perfect. And I just think it's so sweet that he named the alien jean jacket. So he's like, now you have your chance to wrangle him. Like,
That's because like they're both proving that like they're real cowboys basically in this whole like movie. I think it's saying like we are, because in the beginning you see neither of them doing really their jobs, and then
They're
at the
not
end
on
of
the
it
same page. Yeah.
they're like, we're motherfucking cowboys, bitch.
We're a
Boom.
team.
cowboy on
We're
a
a
steel
team.
horse I ride, which is true for Emerald because she rides that motorcycle. Anyway,
Which has the great, what is it, like Akita, what is that? It's like that motorcycle slide. It's from the 80s. It's a cartoon.
Oh, it's in my
Oh.
IMDb notes.
and it's like a
Um,
big reference. Like that one specific slide that she did.
Akira. Yes. Jordan Peele listed Akira as one of his favorite films of all time, and he was even given an offer to direct the live action version, but he said no.
Oh.
But he loves it. So 100% it was an on purpose reference.
I love that.
But yeah, I mean,
Also-
please.
Oh, I was gonna say I love how one, the movie director is, we get the POV digestion shot that nobody will ever see because the camera also gets digested.
Well, it's not organic materials. It'll get spat out somewhere.
True. But I
Would have
love
loved to see it.
that when Angel is gonna get like eaten, he gets like flung with a tarp so he doesn't look at it, and the tarp gets like wrapped up in barbed wire, and he's just like, he didn't like the horse and the flag, so I bet he's not gonna like barbed wire.
And
then
do you
he
know what that was a
pulls-
clear reference to, Sydney?
What?
tell him.
Tremors.
Tremors.
When she gets wrapped up in the barbed wire in Tremors, that's this moment. Tell me it's not.
it's this
A
moment.
clear reference.
A clear reference. And that one, it is hindering her. And this one, they said we're redeeming the barbed wire. It saves his life. But I also
I think
loved
it
the
also
sound it made as it was like pulling the fence posts out of the ground,
Right?
the tar
Is it-
strings.
Yeah, did it also save him because like it was still kind of connected to the ground, and so
And
he
they
like
covered
couldn't get
his
pulled?
face also so that he was not looking up at the alien.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think when he finally like I my guess is it was he was holding on to it, and as soon as the alien kind of touched it, he was like ow, and then
Owie.
immediately dropped him.
Mm.
Ow.
Ouchie.
Ow.
Yeah.
An ouchie.
An
Yeah.
ouchie.
I thought I mean I loved the whole movie. I thought every scene was great and wonderful. But it was really fun to watch them plan it. It was really fun to see like all of their individual skills together. I loved the scene when they're like first calling Antler's host to be like, "Hey, we've got something really special out here in Agua Dulce." And
they
he's like,
don't put
"I've
it
got
on
a
mute."
lemon tart in the oven for my 10 closest friends and family." Yeah, they don't put it on mute. He hears them arguing.
Which is so funny.
But then he sees it on the news being like 40 people have disappeared from Jupiter's claim in Agua Dulce, and like we haven't ruled out flash flood because there's that storm. And he connects the dots when they said on the phone, like, there's something happening out here. I thought it was really well done. I thought everything came together really, really well.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Even with all the bumps in the road, the fucking TMZ guy.
The TMZ guy. Here's the thing. I think the TMZ guy is like, I know the director is like a white person in this movie. The TMZ guy is also, he's like an obnoxious white guy. And also, like,
sure.
I love that all the white people in this movie are dumbasses.
Sure. What I loved
Fair-
about the
fair
TMZ
depiction.
guy, that's why Logan Paul didn't like it, because he's the TMZ guy, basically.
No,
Oh my God.
But
Imagine if Logan Paul did a cameo, but he was
no,
the TMZ
keep
guy.
him away.
I
He
would
doesn't get it enough to be allowed to be in this movie.
I would have loved to have seen him get yeeted off that bike, though.
Sure. But you never even see his face, so you can imagine that it's him under
That's
there.
why it would have been funny.
But what I loved about that is because, okay, with the horse scene in the beginning, one of the crew members has that like giant reflective thing that he turns around right into the horse. That's what the horse sees. That freaks it out, and that's why it kicks. And then there's like a throwaway scene that's just like touched on for a moment where you see OJ like making his own version of that so that he can like train the horses later to be like okay with that. But that the helmet that the guy is wearing is basically a giant version of that reflecting back at, it's like the giant eye
Oh yeah.
reflecting back at the alien, which is why it gets so mad, just like when the horse got spooked with it being turned around into its eyes in the beginning.
Yeah, also what the fuck, like what kind of helmet is that? Who wears that?
Fashionable chic.
You can only see out of a little porthole. It's so
I
weird.
think
And
maybe
I
you can
love
see out of more of it.
such a fucking fake out that they're like, oh my God, this guy's giving off like big, like FBI, CIA, science man, something. And it's fucking TMZ. And they really pushed it as far as like how annoying like I could possibly handle a character to be. Like I was like, why is this still happening? But it was like it's like a parody. I get it. It's hilarious. But I was like, God, please. I hope no one is this stupid. No, I need my camera. His last words.
Right.
His last words. No, don't help me up. Take a picture first. Help
Take
me.
a picture first. Stupid. Yeah,
Dumb
he sucked.
ass
And he
motherfucker.
deserved what he got. But it was
Bye, bitch.
yeah, I mean that's kind of really the thesis statement of the movie, is that we're all so much more focused on spectacle than we are on anything else. And I mean, I think to a degree that is a criticism of society, and I think to a degree it's not necessarily a criticism of everybody living in it. It's just like you have to know what your limits are, because like this guy clearly does not know his limits. You're chasing the spectacle so that you can be the person who gets the story out there, kind of like OJ and Emerald are, but at some point you have to protect your own safety before capturing the spectacle, because first of all, then you can't distribute the spectacle, so that's not helpful. But also things are only so important. And I'll circle back to this when we get to the end, unless we want to talk about it now, but I don't. Are there other things we want to talk about first? I feel like we want to talk about the inflatable guys before we get to the end, because I love the inflatable guys.
Well, I don't know what you're about to say, but we were just talking about something that I wanted to comment on as far as the spectacle thing goes. Like the beginning quote for this whole movie, there's a Bible verse that's put on the screen from Nahum 3:6. Unfamiliar with that part of the Bible. Anyway, this is what it says. And I will cast abominable filth upon thee and make thee vile and will set thee as a spectacle. So like spectacles, like you said, like a huge theme throughout this. And it's just like the closer that you get like to chase a spectacle, to create a spectacle, as you get more wrapped into it, it's like a black hole, like like the big sucky mouth of the alien. Like it'll suck you in, but it'll fucking destroy you also. It'll suck you in and then it'll spit you back out, but not fully formed, not whole. It'll just be your rings and your keys and your nickels coming out at the end. Like straight up, like there's such a, especially like in Hollywood, the pull to like become that like fame, to like have that moment in the limelight. And I think that like OJ and Emerald are like, but if we like, what at what cost? Like we've gone so far into this, and like why are we even doing this? And even Angel, he's like, yeah, we're gonna help, this is gonna help people, right? Like this is gonna like save people's lives. Like he's trying to like convince
he's
himself,
trying to be like,
because
we'll
he's
save
like
all of Earth.
Yeah, he's like, why am I so far into this if we're not actually doing something good? Because like it's a great scientific discovery for sure, to take an image of it, but like, you know, it's the stakes are really fucking high.
But yeah, and you see there is the moment where they bounce at first, when they first go to Angel's apartment and they go to the crab shack or whatever it is.
They want to be out of there.
Yeah, and OJ is sitting there going like, okay, I think maybe if you don't look it in the eye, you don't spook it. Like basically he's still thinking about it. And they're both being like, read the fucking room. Do not talk to me about that right now.
We do not want to talk about this.
They're both like, that's over. Sorry about the farm. We're moving into our next era. And it's, I think, only because of that
money
she gets a call
knocking.
from Antlers, from
Holst. Hollywood called her.
And she got dragged back in, and like that's kind of the moment. I do want to, can I talk about the end now? Do you mind?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
We're at the end.
Well, we haven't talked about the inflatables at all, which I do love because it's such an amazing, fun visual. And when I first saw it in the trailer, the crazy guys, yeah.
You could just say that it was really cool, and it was a really good idea, and they did a great job, and it's been a great marketing technique. Great job,
and it was
Jordan.
Like now a fun pop of color.
Yes, and such a great visual in the trailer that I was like, and I have literally no idea what they're doing with this. And then I thought they used it really well. But anyway, the very, very end. And we can talk about the final showdown slightly before that, because that's worthy of discussion, especially after we did Jaws. But like this whole chasing spectacle, when do you stop? When is it worth it? Kiki Palmer has she's desperately cranking the winking well for that photo. You know what I mean? She's trying to get the shot. She's trying to kill it. The balloon is up there. But then after it pops and bursts, there's this long lingering shot of Emerald's face, and you don't really know what she's looking at for a moment, but you've seen that press is starting to gather. There's media there with cameras and stuff like that. And at first I was like, okay, she has the shot. Is she working herself up into her media persona to go talk to the cameras? Is that why she's struggling so hard? But then it finally reveals that she's looking at her brother, and like the photo's totally forgotten. It just ends on that, which I thought was great because she got the photo, but that's no longer important to her when you see that OJ is still there with the horse. You know what I mean? Like, that's the point about the spectacle, is like, yes, important, yes, could be life changing or whatever, but how much are you really willing to risk to get that? And at the end of the day, she's like, this
Totally.
is what's important, having my family right here in front of me. And also, just as a little sister, it made me weep.
Oh,
I was like
you know
thinking
what?
about it earlier, getting like choked up.
I mean, it's such a beautiful moment, and especially because she just got the shot, right? We know that she just got the shot because we get to see it as the viewer. Guess who doesn't look at it? She doesn't
Exactly.
even look at it. She just leaves it there. And any of those press guys can come up and steal it. I was like, oh, fuck. I mean, just at least pick it up so they don't steal it. But anyway, but like, she was looking at her brother, OJ, looking dope as fuck on a horse with that like outer limits sign or
Looking
whatever.
so good
He
out
looked
yonder.
so cool in the mist out yonder. Yeah, way better than outer limits. Yeah. Ugh. It's, it was a great ending. It was a great ending.
I loved the ending so much. But I also loved, like I said, with Jaws, there were so many, like, okay, apparently the movies that Jordan Peele told the cast to watch, and I don't know if this is true, I just saw it in a tweet of somebody that I already follow on Twitter, and I'll link it, but it seemed like a serious tweet. I tried to Google and I didn't really find much, so I don't take it with a grain of salt. I don't know the sourcing. But the movies that they said Jordan Peele told the cast to watch were No Country for Old Men, Jaws, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, 2001: A Space Odyssey, and Alien. And I think Jaws is like so present in ways that I maybe wouldn't have remembered if we hadn't just done it. But like with the alien pulling the flags behind it, it's like the shark pulling the barrels around.
Yeah.
With the oxygen tank exploding the shark at the end of Jaws, it's like the balloon exploding the alien at the
Oh
end of this
fuck.
movie.
I didn't even think
Yeah.
about that. That's awesome.
They're like going
We
fishing
planned that,
for
by
it.
the way.
They're
Yeah.
hunting the monster, you know what I mean? They're using bait.
Isn't it so cool that we planned that?
And also, there are horses in Tremors and there are horses in Final Destination 3. And a horse even gets spooked in Final Destination 3. And a horse drags things along behind it in Final Destination 3. So
And
lots
yes,
of things being
we
planned.
did have a psychic premonition that led to these beautiful and poignant and timely movie choices leading up to our viewing of Nope that we just added to the schedule literally like a week ago. Sometimes it just works out, okay? Don't question it,
Look.
partner.
Yeah.
But that leads us to our segments. The first one being, how could this movie be gayer? And isn't it so great when it's already gay? Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Just lovely.
Yeah.
It's subtle, but it's there.
I think, I mean, again, obviously anything could be gayer. The only real inherent queerness to the film is Keke Palmer briefly hitting on somebody at Fry's and saying that she has she says a girl that she's seeing in Atwater.
And she
But
also says, I fuck a therapist sometimes. She said this, blah, 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 blah.
oh, I
So,
remembered the fuck a
3
therapist part, but I
references.
didn't remember any pronouns being used. But amazing.
She says I clocked it on the second
Yeah.
watch.
And Keke Palmer is sexually fluid. So like I also just
Thank
love
God.
such
Sorry.
a hottie.
She's so hot.
To me, also OJ, I don't think OJ would, I think in a very cowboy stoic way, OJ would be open to falling in love with anybody, but would not use a label.
But yeah, I could see OJ coming out later on in life because he's just a guy who's very quiet, and I imagine having a rich like inner life.
Yeah, I don't know that I
he doesn't
see
really express.
I don't think he would have
maybe
a
he's
coming out moment. I think he would just be like, and I'm dating a man, and what about it? You know what I mean? He would just be like, this is the person
feel
that I
that.
love. And a very
Brokeback
cowboy.
Mountain
Yeah, I don't think he would ever be like, I'm queer necessarily, but I don't think he would be like, I'm straight either. He's like, I just am. That's my vibe for him.
I love that. I feel that. I agree. I agree. That brings us to where would Matthew Lillard fit into this film? And he could have been at the Star Lasso experience.
He could have been the dad in Gordy's Home sitcom.
He
Oh yeah,
could have been the
fun.
filmmaker.
Oh, Antlers.
Yeah.
Oh,
What a
I'm
fucking
sorry.
name.
I
I'm not
would
over
literally never recast Antlers. That voice, like that vibe. Oh my god, he's one of my favorite characters in this. Also, I kept getting really confused because I didn't realize that his name was Antlers in the movie, and I was reading these articles and skimming them, and I thought they were saying that he was in that horror movie Antlers that came out last year, and I was like,
Oh.
God, I gotta see that. That's not the case. So you know.
No, I think
Not the
Maddie
case.
Lily could also be one of the guys on the commercial in the beginning, especially the guy that is like, can we get the horse ready? Can we spin the horse? Or the one who was like, we're ready to go now. Everybody, we've got talent on the set, the lovely blah blah blah, whoever they say. He would have been great
Yeah,
with the
that would have been
Hollywood
good
guys.
too.
Mm-hmm.
That's perfect. God, I mean, for dumb bitch, like who isn't?
Sure.
In this one, besides OJ and Emerald and Angel, but they're all dumb bitches on their own. Like at
Yeah.
points throughout the film, they just don't die.
Yeah, I think there's a really good argument for it being the TMZ guy.
Yes.
Because he doesn't have a tragic backstory to explain why he's so
Exactly.
desperate to have this, you know what I mean? So I'm just not that I'm cutting Ricky that much slack, but I did
Jupe.
see his very terrified little child expression, and so I have love and sympathy for him in my heart. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah,
didn't even
totally.
see TMZ guy's face. I just saw that he's a dick. So
I just saw his fucking porthole. So Logan Paul, he can get sucked up into this guy. I don't care. That's so mean. I don't want him to die, but also fuck him. Especially because he didn't like this movie. I just love adding fuel to the fire of my burning hatred for Logan Paul.
sure.
Anyway, hope this doesn't come back to bite me when we're rich and famous.
When Logan Paul invites us to spill all the tea about One Direction on his podcast. Or was that Jake Paul's? No, I think it was Logan. Anyway, doesn't matter. Liam Payne betrayed his fellow bandmates. And that's relevant because Barbie's character writes the Larry Stylinson fan fiction on Euphoria in season 1, right?
Yeah.
Wow, that was something that was so deeply, so deep down. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Okay, so we got the dumb bitch. It's definitely TMZ guy.
Yeah.
So that brings us to our knives out of fives. So like I think people are fucking loving this, right? What does the world say so far?
I mean, I was a little surprised by the numbers because it was like the number one at the box office or whatever. And I would say the stats don't necessarily represent how good I thought it was, but they're not bad. On IMDb, this movie has a 7.5 out of 10. And on Rotten Tomatoes, it has 81% fresh from critics, but then audiences only 69%, which is still fresh and it's almost to 70. But only 69%, but also 69. Nice.
Nice.
I mean, for me, this movie was like, it wasn't made for me, but like it has everything that I love, everything that I am looking for. Like, I laughed. I got to see a monkey. I didn't expect that. That's not what I'm looking for. But I do like to see it. And I just am obsessed with like the combination of aliens and cowboys because those are two like aesthetics that I have become like fucking insanely obsessed with in the last 10 years. Like there was like a 5-year period or like less than that. Sydney was right there front and center for my alien phase. I started watching X-Files and it was like forget your name. Everything is aliens now. All of my outfits were aliens. It was like it was intense. And since then, I've moved into my Western phase, which is something that has come and gone many times in my life. But I always joke around about how like Cowboys and Aliens, like that's like the perfect movie for me. But I saw it and I didn't like it that much, and it was very hard for me. And I would like to see it again to maybe see if that would change. But it really let me down. Well, guess what didn't fucking let me down? This fucking movie. This fucking movie. It was so much better than I could have even expected, and I had really high expectations. But like the fact that they also brought in another phase of my life, which was my SeaWorld marine biologist phase with the with this fucking stingray ass alien. I was like, Jordan Peele, thank you. Jordan Peele, thank you. So it's a 5 out of 5 for me. I know I'm very I've been very giving with my scores lately, but like I felt blissful when I watched this movie, and I could not stop thinking about it for the whole week after. It was like the only thing that crossed my mind. So like really, really awesome. 5.
Yeah, I think for me, it's also gonna be a 5 because like I said, the first time it was like such an immersive experience. I really think we did it right. But
Yeah.
I was like so thrilled to be there and to be watching it the whole first time. The second time I was like, I'm watching a movie, you know what I mean? Less of an experience, but there was still so much to like appreciate the second time around. Um, I just thought it did so much of what I love also in a different way, which is give you these moments and these scenes that are so rife for like psychoanalyzation and giving you a glimpse into this whole rich interior world that you can imagine for this character that it's not really touching on, but it's giving you enough to go on, especially with Ricky Jupiter. And also I just love that it was like I always love a little family film where the message is like families, I love my family, you know what I mean?
I love my brother.
Yeah, and so for it to be like a sibling movie about two siblings who are very different but still love each other a lot and would do so much for each other, not work on the farm but other things for each other, to me to me that was like very special, and I loved it. I think it's hard with an alien movie because again, it's so hard to design an alien or a monster that's going to be universally appealing. Um, and there were aspects of this monster that I was like, this isn't necessarily doing it for me on a personal level, but it is so fascinating to look at. It is so interesting to look at. It has so much visual appeal in a million different ways. I liked it a lot.
Hell yeah. What'd you think, Sid?
I like this a lot more than I expected to like it. I only got to watch it once, so I probably will, like when it comes out on like DVD or something or streaming, I will watch it again and see how I feel again. But I'm gonna give this a 4.5 out of 5. And if it wasn't
Nice.
for all the sad horse deaths, it would probably get a 5 for me. But as somebody
Does
who
it make
has
you feel better that they're sad too because they're horse people? That one point Antlers is like, let's bring the bait out to the pasture, and Angel's like, no, they're horse people.
they're horse
Does that
people.
make you feel better?
Yes, but still, I was just like,
Yeah.
as somebody who has like a traumatic horse death in their life, like this was just like, oh,
It was
no.
dramatic.
It was dramatic.
I'm so sorry that you had to experience that trauma on the biggest screen on IMAX.
I did not see it in IMAX, so.
But it was IMAX quality
I know.
filming. So
IMAX quality. I gotta
big
relive.
energy. Big energy.
Me and Jupe just reliving some childhood trauma throughout this movie.
Sweet fuck. I'm so sorry. Well, okay, that closes the barn doors on Nope. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna throw myself out into the street. But here on Spooky Tuesday, we like to keep it fresh. We like to keep it new. We're on like the fucking cutting edge. Like you might notice that we just did a movie that came out like 3 weeks ago when you listen to this. So like, wow, that's pretty new. Well, guess what we're doing next week, bitches? We're doing bodies. Yeah, we're on the hot pulse of what, is up, what Gen Z is doing right now. Is this technically a Gen Z horror film? I think that it is. I haven't seen it yet, Avi. Comes out this Friday for us. But it feels like it's a Gen Z horror film. And it looks like it's going to be silly as shit. And I can't fucking wait. I can't wait.
It also has Lee Pace, who is one of the hottest people alive. So,
And don't forget, Lee Pace is 6'5".
and
Oh,
bisexual.
How could I
I
forget?
know.
What?
Oh yeah.
I didn't
Yes.
know that.
Yes.
Oh
Yep.
my God. I never seen Pushing Daisies, so I'd never got
Oh,
fully on
it's
the
good.
bandwagon. I'll get
Great.
there. I'll get there.
And Miss
it's got our
Pettigrew lives
boy
for a
Pete.
day. He sings in Miss Pettigrew lives for a day, and he's so
Oh, I hope he
touches
sings
my
in
heart.
this.
We'll
Can you
see.
imagine if he sings in this?
That would be
wow.
sick.
Okay. It looks like it's gonna be a really, really fun romp. So I'm excited. People are saying that it's giving Spring Breakers vibes.
Oh.
So that can only be
Huh.
good.
Kind of.
Aesthetic wise.
I'm very
Aesthetic
curious.
wise.
I'm very curious. I'll say that.
Yeah, it could go either way, baby.
We're
but
gonna
you
find
know what?
out.
We're committed. So in the interim, why not give us a 5-star review? Even maybe a haiku review. There's so much you could talk about. Use that cowboy spirit that lives inside of all of us and do some sort of horse related haiku for Sydney to help soothe her horse trauma that was kicked up by this film. She needs it. Come on.
Think
Do
of
it.
Sydney.
Also,
Won't you think
Think
of
of
Sydney?
me.
Think of Sydney. Also, no one's written her a haiku review about her that she could get tattooed as a tramp stamp. So,
What are you guys
here's a
waiting
golden
for?
opportunity. It could be horse themed. It would be beautiful. So think about it. 5 out of 5 stars, please. Also, we have 90 reviews. That's like 10 away from 100. Did you know? That's super close. So please. Also, why not follow us on social media? We're at spooky_Tuesday on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Also, Spooky Tuesday Pod on Facebook and Tumblr, and at Spooky Tuesday on Letterboxd. And we do have that one YouTube video, so like and subscribe. Thanks for listening.
Bye, spookies.
Yeehaw.
Well, it came down to earth, and it hid in a tree. I said, Mr. Purple People Eater, don't eat me. Well, he looked at me and in a voice so gruff, he said, I wouldn't eat you, 'cause you're too tough. He was a one-eyed, one-horned, flying purple people eater.
Spooky Tuesday was created by Monica Height, Sydney Thompson, and Chelsea Duff, and edited by Sydney Thompson. Our gorgeously spooky tunes are all thanks to Tamara Simons, who you can follow on Instagram at Captain Tamara, and our podcast art is by Mary Murphy, who you can find on Instagram at the_moon_OMG.